Here we're going to derive the scalar potential formula for a dipole. This is going to be derived in the Lorenz gauge. This will allow us to do a evaluation and modeling of vector potential communication, primarily along the axis of the pole or the dipole. We start with the vector potential definition, which is given in a wide variety of sources, in a wide variety of formulations, but this particular formulation is in SI units and it's widely available. The scalar potential formula for a dipole in the Lorenz gauge is not widely available. Indeed, even in Gaussian gauge, it's not widely available. It's very rare that you can find a formulation, and even when you do, it is sometimes suspect because of the variety of notations that are used. That's why this derivation is crucial to being able to get accurate modeling of the experimental results that we're pursuing. So we start with the vector potential in terms of space, x, y, z, and time. It produces a three-dimensional vector. The x and y dimensions of the vector are 0 because the polarization is along the z-axis. And in order to derive from this, which is, as I said, given a wide variety of sources, so it's easy to verify as being correct, we rely on the gauge called Lorenz. That's Lorenz, not Lorentz, and the confusion between those two is widespread. There is, in fact, no Lorenz gauge. There is only Lorenz gauge. This is the Lorenz gauge. You take the derivative of the scalar potential with respect to time, multiply it times minus the permeability of free space times the permittivity of free space, and that gives you the divergence of the vector potential. So we want to be able to express this, and the first thing we need to do is derive the divergence of A. When A is defined by a Hertzian dipole, also called a electrically short dipole, sometimes called an infinitesimal dipole when the length L is extremely short or infinitesimal. First thing we do with A is we take the divergence, so that we have the divergence of A. wxMaxima requires you to go through these steps to actually get the ultimate formulation, and then you can define the function divergence of A in terms of the result of that. Since we have the result of that, we can then specify this total equation, which is in terms of a differential, have that solved for phi, and then we can define phi, which is the scalar potential in terms of space and time. We'll now execute that. Go back to where the actual derivation output was done. And here we have a more readable form of the formula, which is more recognizable from the sources, and the derivation through the divergence, which becomes the differential with respect to space in the z dimension, and some simplifications until we get to the point where we have a not so simple but better formulation for the divergence of A. We then express that in such a way that we can solve for phi. Phi is solved here and incorporated into the definition of a function in terms of space and time here. And this is our ultimate formula that we'll be using to model the results of experiments conducted on the vector potential modulation along the axis of the dipole.